Hey, what's going on, everybody? We are live for a little bit of an impromptu Friday night shenanigans. My younger brother, a bourbon head, is going to be joining us relatively soon. And I figure, hey, why not swing on? Nothing else going on, unfortunately. So, Slancha, what's up? I'll let you know when he chimes in. But in the meantime, looks like we got two folks in the chat already, which is awesome. I don't often do a Friday night show, but circumstances being what they are, this is what it is. So I figured we'd stop on, see what everybody's up to. If there's anybody live tonight, hanging out, doing their thing. Oh, I'm getting feedback on my phone. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's definitely something. Oh, YouTube's open. What can you do? Anyways, yeah, what's up, everyone? Happy Friday. I was on a little bit earlier tonight with our good friend across the pond, Alan, the whiskey friend. He was up to his normal shenanigans, doing a little live show, hanging out with some folks. And so, I figured I would do the same thing since we're going to keep things going. Hey, we got some folks in the chat. We got 4 people. Right on. What's up, Peter White? How you doing? I think I saw you earlier. Our good friend from Ontario, Slancha. Jack, the pickled hound. What are you up to tonight, man? Happy Friday. One named Nestor's here too. Hey, it's just watching The Boys on Amazon. That can wait. Okay, well, I hate to take you away from your Friday night activities, but what are we gonna do? I am sipping on some Lecheg 10. I love Lecheg 10. I'm just going to be completely blunt about that. I'm going to have a review of it up in a couple of weeks. But as I've been doing these 10-year-old whiskeys every week here in October, but I got to tell you, Lecheg 10, this is a special pour, man. I'm really surprised at how good this is. I didn't expect a ton. And as you can see, I mean, over the course of a few months, I've put a dent in this. This is like a heavily peated scotch. So we're talking not necessarily Lafroig peated scotch, but it's definitely a heavily peated scotch. And I think what's so impressive about this is not only the price, but the fact that it's not an Islay. This actually comes from Tobermory, which is on this place called the Island of Mull, which is, I think, probably the only distillery there. I may be wrong about that. But it's heavily peated, and I've actually explored some heavily peated scotches that are outside Islay. The one that comes to mind for me is the Aaron Mockramore, which honestly is not my favorite. It was okay. I mean, like the peat was there, but the smoke really wasn't. That is not the case on this Lecheg. It's like perfect. This thing punches above its weight. It's bourbony, probably all ex-bourbon. It doesn't say explicitly. I mean, look at how minimalist this presentation is. I mean, like this is the mark of a distillery that's not trying to show off because they either think they don't have to, because their juice is so good, or they're just totally out of touch. But I will say, based on what I've had tonight, it's the former, not the latter. 46.3%, unchill filtered. I think it's probably natural color, but they don't say it on here, unfortunately. Man, What a great pour. I'm enjoying it quite a lot. And I highly recommend anybody who's never had a Lechag 10 to get it. If you like things like Ardbeg 10, Lafroig 10, Keelholm and Mocker Bay, those young, heavily peated, in-your-face whiskeys. This one's killing it. It's absolutely killing it. So, yeah, I'm going to hang out for a little bit. My younger brother is going to be joining us. I'm in Philly. He is in Milwaukee. He's a big bourbon head. And he said he might be pouring some scotch tonight. So he's going to join the show. We'll hang out. We'll have a couple pours. We'll see what everybody's up to. And go from there. So that's what I got, y'all. What's up with you? What are you guys drinking tonight? We got 6 folks in the chat, which is awesome. Glad to see everybody. Hope you can hang out. Lord knows how long this is going to go. All right, let me catch up. Jack the Pickled Hound. Yeah, he knows what's up with Lechag. Was that one of your first single malts? Like smoky single malts, I should say? Because if it was, I totally get it. Yeah, we're up to 8 folks already. Right on. Man, this is such a great whiskey. I'm really enjoying it. Oh, and it looks like my younger brother is here. So let's pop him in the stream. There he is.
Hey.
And my niece. What's up?
What's going on? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. How's it going?
Good, man. Just little late night drams with the little lady here.
Yeah.
She just woke up, so I'm gonna pour myself something while I'm gonna give her a bottle. So
what are you giving her?
She's gonna have some of this Ardbeg Black.
My bourbon brother has got some Ardbeg in his glass tonight. Right on. So we're doing pizza tonight, y'all. I got a couple peated whiskeys.
Hold on, give me a second, bud.
Do your thing. While he handles his well, he handles all his children. I'm going to catch up on the chat here. I know. What day is this, Emily Chambers? What's up in Florida? Well, it's Friday, and we're doing an impromptu live, so thanks for swinging by. We got 8 folks in the chat, which is awesome. Jack the Pickled Hound says, I'm tempted to pull the trigger on an Indy 11-year 5 Lions. Lechag cast strength 155. Should be 140. Dude, I'll be honest with you. I think this, I have a Lechag 18 and a Lechag 10. And I think they're both fantastic. I think this is one of those whiskeys. It's like a knock in that it flies under the radar, man. And the indie bottlings, I've seen some independent bottlings of Lechag that I definitely was, inspired to buy. I didn't quite pull the trigger because some other stuff came up, but yeah, man, I have a hard time thinking that's a bad idea. So I'd consider it. That's a good pour for sure. Emily Chambers, our friend in Florida. What's up? King of Prussia's in the house. What up, Anthony? Sam Houston, 14. Right on. Our boy in Ontario, Peter White, got some EH2 or single barrel. Okay.
Yeah. I like some EH2.
Big black. And my kids to go to bed too, says Anthony.
What did he say? Our big black.
Our boy Anthony. Yeah, he's just up the street in King of Prussia. Yeah, that's good, dude. Absolutely, one of my first was the Lechag. Wow, that's interesting. What's up, Daniel? How's it going, East Texas? How you, man? Thanks for swinging by.
She wants some of it too. Amazing.
Little impromptu lives. Look at this, man. My little niece is loving the peat smoke already.
Smell that, Junie? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, introduce Juniper into the crew.
Yeah. Say hello to this little beauty. You want to say hi?
What a munchkin.
Yeah,
we got
five months old yesterday.
apparently Juniper has decided that being awake at, what is it your time? Well, you're in Milwaukee, so that's
8:15. Yeah.
8:15. I guess that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's normal. But she'll get her bottle, I'll get mine, right? Cheers.
Yeah, there you go. Cheers. So my brother here is kind of an avid bourbon fan, but he's got some. He's been dipping into the Ardbeg. Got himself a bottle of black. How's that landing with you?
It's really good. It kind of like, I just had a pour of some rye, and so like going from a rye whiskey to this is like, whoa, like kind of punches you in the face a little bit, but it's good. It's enjoyable.
I'm not sure you'd like it the other way though. Like the other way, you'd probably not get as much out of the rye, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like this isn't like as peaty and smoky as I thought it would be. I mean, it's definitely got it, but it doesn't have the. I'm thinking like a Lagavulin or something like that, where it's just kind of really robust smoke and peat.
Yeah,
but, this is good. I like this, man. I was about to pour one of those Lefroy's that I got you.
What's that? Yeah. Oh no, you don't. No. You should definitely show them though. You should definitely bring those out for display.
Yeah, I'm going to give her a bottle. And then
what you just mentioned is actually really important because I find this to be relatively true. You know, like peat doesn't necessarily mean smoke. There are some.
That's a common misconception.
Yeah, I agree. There was a peated whiskey that I had a while ago, heavily peated. It's Aaron Mockramore, which definitely had the peat, that effervescent kind of smoky. Well, not smoky. The like popping note on. Uh-oh.
She's excited for bottle time.
It definitely had that pop on the tongue, but like it wasn't very smoky. And you know, obviously most peated whiskeys are smoky, but not all smoky whiskeys are peated. Maybe that's the way to put it.
Yeah, Emily, I'm not well versed in that like you are. Like, but I certainly always associated one with the other.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hear you, Daniel, man. Hurricane Delta's it's got to be slamming down.
Hitting Louisiana?
Yeah, or my buddy here, Daniel, he's right in that area. So stay safe out there, man. I can imagine Lake Charles, that whole area. Like, boy, they don't need any more of this. And we got some love for baby Juniper, Peter White, sweetheart. I love Juniper. I think this is the only person who. Yeah. There you go.
I can't read it. What does it say?
Totally, Emily Chambers. Daniel said, "Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's the sweet and briny." Right, exactly. I mean, and not every peated Scotch I think is smoky, but like he just mentioned Lefroy, and it has to do with those fat casks that they use. Or I'm sorry, the fat stills that they use, which really bring a lot of those heavier molecules up into their whiskey. I think that brings a lot more of their smoke. This Lachag, I got to tell you, it's like the perfect balance. You get the smoke, but you get the sweetness too. I think it's more balanced. It's more even depth, has more depth and interesting notes coming out of it than even like a Lefroy. It's not as in your face, but man, it hits. What a great pour. And as far as what he was drinking, the Ardbeg Black, I mean, I agree. Like the Ardbeg Black is kind of, well, I mean, you got that wine maturation, and I think it works. I thought it was a good whiskey.
So is this a limited, like one-time kind of deal?
What?
Ardbeg Black.
Yeah.
So quite frankly, I was one of the. I was just being a total tater, and I just thought that the box and the presentation was just really cool.
Yeah,
so I was like, yeah, I gotta buy that.
So the way it works is like each year Ardbeg releases what's like called their FICIO release, which is like the Scotch Whisky Festival. So at first they do what's called a committee release, which I actually have a bottle of, which is usually higher proof. And then like, yeah, it's basically cast strength or higher proof. And then It has a tan label, and then they do a limited release, which is what you have, which is always brought down to like 46%, and then a little bit more available, but not necessarily super available. So the black that you have is the limited release that they put out. And they do this every year. They did it like they do it. Sometimes the limited releases may be better. I think I heard a lot of people say that the one from last year, which was a rum finish, it was called the Ardbeg Drum, that a lot of the regular release, limited release, was better than the committee release, which is interesting, despite the higher proof on the committee. But I mean, either way, I thought it was disappointing. And I actually wouldn't have bought the committee release had a certain liquor smith not been like, hey, I got 2 bottles of the Ardbeg committee release left. And I was like, oh, geez. So I had to do it. And that's how it goes. But it's going to be fun, actually. We're going to do, me and Telex probably before the end of the year are going to do a head-to-head tasting of the committee release and the limited release. So that should be a lot of fun. And we got 14 folks in the house, man. That's great, man. Sláinte, happy Friday to everybody.
Cheers. Junior's taking down her bottle of Ardbeg like a champ here.
My brother here is feeding his younger daughter Ardbeg.
This is also a parenting 101 class.
Yeah. If any of you need tips on how to make a baby stop crying, apparently Ardbeg is the way to do it. Hey, beaming the signal from Las Vegas. It is Mark Stengel. Come in on a Friday. What's up, Mark? I probably caught you at a good hour, buddy. You got to be way off work by now. Nice to see you, man. Thanks for swinging by. Got some of the good Tuesday happy hour folks in the chat, which is awesome.
Okay. Big baby.
What did I just do?
Oh.
All right, you do your thing. You doing some wee beastie tonight, Mark? Oh man, stepping outside the comfort zone. What do you think? Hey, what's up, Draminator? Totally enjoyed you and Whiskey Friend and Alan earlier today. Does Philadelphia still boo Santa? Hey man, thanks for swinging by. Yeah, this is a little impromptu live show. Philly maybe doesn't boo Santa explicitly, but it does in spirit. Yeah, definitely. There's no shortage of like over the top Philadelphia sports ridiculousness that happens every year. So yeah, basically they do. Where are you coming in from? Hey, what's up? Lost Cause. Hope you're staying safe, man, down in the bayou. I know things are getting a little tense down there. Probably a little bit to your west, if I'm not mistaken, but I know that hurricane's coming in and you all are getting nailed with that shit. Craziness. Daniel said,
hey, Eric.
Yeah.
So this Ardbeg Black, and maybe this is the question more for all of these like limited one-time releases, like you mentioned the drum or whatever it was last year. Are they age stated at all, or do we have any sense of what the time in the barrel is on these things?
We don't. I don't think there's, and correct me if I'm wrong in the chat if anybody has that's really loud. Correct me in the chat if I'm wrong on this, but I don't think there's any Ardbeg age statement like limited releases. I would say most of this stuff is probably like at the most it's Ardbeg 10 with a finish. At the least, it's maybe even like 5 or 6 years old. So who knows? The Ardbeg Black is fully matured in Pinot Noir, so it's probably, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's, who can say, 6 to 8 years, if that. I don't know.
And sorry for like the noob question here, but like does age do the same thing to Scotch as it does to bourbon?
Well, that's a good question. Let me pour a little bit more of this Lacheg 10 and I can share my dumb thoughts on it. And let me know in the chat if y'all have opinions on this. So basically, the way it works is this, Evan. climate and barometric pressure, like atmospheric pressure, play the like most crucial role in how a cask influences a whiskey. So since bourbon is from Kentucky, which is at a much lower latitude than most Scotch whiskey, you basically get more quote unquote maturation in a shorter period of time. So like a 10-year-old bourbon is probably has more cask influence average than a 10-year-old Scotch, because Scotch is aged at a higher longitude. And this plays the same with rum. So like rum, you know, a 10-year-old rum would be crazy. Like you put it in a cask, or like a tequila, you put it in a cask for 2 or 3 years and it's like heavily aged. So it has a lot to do with climate, and it has a lot to do with you know, the atmospheric pressure that accompanies climate. So basically what you're looking at is like an 18-year-old bourbon is probably more cask influenced than an 18-year-old Scotch, but probably, in my opinion at least, more to the negative than the positive, because Scotch whiskey, like, because it takes longer, you get a slower maturation, and I find a lot of older bourbons to be too oaky. So while the sweet, you know, I mean, there's no like mathematical equation, but like you could basically look at it like an 8-year-old bourbon is maybe like a 12-year-old Scotch, for example.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I think the wheelhouse for bourbon is definitely like that 8 to 15 on the long end, you know.
I totally agree with you.
At least for me. You know, most of the stuff that the heavily aged bourbons that I've had, you know, actually I just had a pour of which I hadn't pulled the bottle out in a long time, but Elijah Craig 23. And I think that's probably one of the oldest or the most aged bourbons that I have. And, you know, it's disappointing mostly because it's only 90 proof. And it's like, why the hell you proof it down that much? But
angel hair plays a factor in that. But I bet you the reason is because they have to water it down because it's so oaky.
So oaky, right. And it's still super oaky. I mean, you really have to appreciate that flavor profile. You know, like you really have to like the oak influence on your bourbon. And to me, it's just like, man, 23 is that's too long. I mean,
I mean, I even thought that about the Elijah Craig 18, and like I would even add to that I think about like the oldest bourbon I ever bought was Orphan Barrel Rhetoric, which was a 24-year-old release, and it was so oaky, and you could tell that they watered it down because of its oakiness.
Yeah,
it's
those rhetorics are, man.
And I understand that some people enjoy that, and maybe there's some nuances in the flavor profile of an old bourbon like that I just don't get. But I'll tell you, like, based on my small sample size, I'm just not impressed. Like, I would rather have a 13-year-old Knob Creek single barrel store pick or a Four Roses than 18-year-old, 23-year-old Elijah Craig. And let us know in the chat if you like agree or disagree. And there's probably some to that. Sounds like Junie's got a cough.
Oh yeah, she's just getting over being sick. Actually, it's just
all good, man. In the meantime, I'm gonna catch up really quick on the chat here. We got 15 folks in. What's up? Happy Friday, everybody. This is a little impromptu, man. I'm off script tonight, but you know, we're doing it. Yeah, Draminator, cheers, man. It was great to hang out with you on Alan's stream earlier, and thanks for swinging by. You know, I usually do this every Tuesday, but today it's Friday. Daniel says, Ardbeg makes grown adults cry all the time. Nice to see you, baby Chris. I can handle it. Hell yeah, Daniel. Hell yeah.
We start them young in the Kirkstein family.
Yeah, we do. Good timing, Port Amroot cast strength, and just lit a cigar. Okay. Lost Cause is in relaxation mode. Good deal. Tony says, should I call you Tony or Anthony? You got to let me know. I keep going back and forth. How do you know the difference between peat and smoke? Is there a flavor to look for? I love Isla, but don't know the difference. So, yeah. And please chime in the chat if folks got opinions on this question. This is a great question. Peat I think in general is more of that like tingly, effervescent kind of almost champagne-y note that you get on the tongue that's not as sharp or as spicy as pepper. So like if you think about even like a Lafroy 10, that tongue sensation you get when it hits and it's bubbly and it's like that fizzy kind of effervescent note. That's more the peat. The smoke is actually kind of what's wrapped around it, that cloying mouthfeel that you get. So most peated whiskeys, of course, are heavily smoked, but not all heavily smoked whiskeys, or vice versa. So like you could try like a Cahuilla, for example, which has a lot of peat, but isn't necessarily smoky. So like it has some smoke, of course, but you get that drying tingle feeling on the tongue, which lets you know that it's definitely peated, but it's not necessarily heavily smoked where like a Lagavulin 16, which I think is really smoky.
Mm-hmm.
You get a lot of that kind of charcoal ashiness going on in the mouthfeel, and also it's complemented by that sensation on the palate. So, like a good whiskey, if you want to test this theory out a little bit, a good whiskey is Aaron Mocker Moore, because Aaron Mocker Moore is heavily peated, and I mean it. Like it is drying, super peated, but it's not that smoky. It's not smoky like a Lagavulin or smoky like a Arbegucadal or, whatever. And so you can kind of tease the difference out. It took me a really long time to notice the difference because I always just made the relationship between peat and smoke. And I think that relationship holds 99% of the time. But there are subtle differences. And I think maybe you'll pick that up a little bit. So I hope that's helpful. And, folks in the chat, like, definitely chime in on this. Dramator's in Duluth. Right on, man. There's another guy who comes in on Tuesday happy hours, Mr. French, who's also in Duluth. I wonder if you guys know each other. So, Tropical winds coming in. Nevada. I'm getting to know heavily peated Isla barley from Port Charlotte. Yeah. Port Charlotte's a great example of that. Yeah. It's not overly smoky, but, the peat is definitely there. And I'm sure some folks in the chat will have some opinions on this. Friday, made for malts. Cheers, buddy.
I just poured what I think is probably one of the best bourbons that I've had, and you might be surprised by what it is. But this here is a 1989 Wild Turkey 8-year 101, and it's incredible, right? So, they don't make bourbon like this anymore, right? I mean, back then it was completely different, right?
Yeah,
wasn't mass produced because it wasn't a spirit that people were clamoring for like they are nowadays. And to think that this was a freaking bottom shelf or $20 bottle, if that, in 1989, it probably wasn't even $20, and that you could get this so regularly just blows my mind. You drink it now and it's just like nothing tastes like it. There's no comparison to anything that was produced like today, to something like this.
Describe the flavor compared to like a bottle of Wild Turkey 101 that you buy today. Like, what do you think the major difference?
Man. Well, first of all, the age, right? I mean, the Wild Turkey 101 nowadays isn't aged 8 years, right? I mean, they stopped doing that shit in like the 90s, late 90s, maybe like 2000 was, or 2001 was probably the last year that they did the 8-year 101. They did, so they in the later 90s they kind of switched over to this the old number 8 brand, which wasn't an 8-year bourbon. It was probably more like a 4 or 5. And it was proof down to 86, right? 86.8 actually. So these 8-year 101 proofs went away kind of in the late 90s. And so nowadays, if you buy like, the regular bottom shelf or Wild Turkey 101, I mean, that's going to be like probably a 4-year aged, mass produced. And in huge vats. Like it's just the care and like the quantity, the sheer volume of the way it's produced now. You just don't get that finesse like that you do with this. I mean, this is just, it's like brown sugar. I mean, it's just fucking amazing. Excuse my French, but it's just incredible, dude. Like it's probably the most balanced whiskey that I've had. I mean, shit, 8 years, just perfect age frame, 101 proof, perfect proof, right? I mean, it gets you interested if you're one of those that really like barrel proof whiskeys. And, I think you get turned off at like the 90, right? Most people are like, yeah, 90 just doesn't give you that punch, doesn't give you that flavor profile that you want. I mean, dude, when you come visit for the holidays, and I have a number of these. I have like a 78, I have a 83, I have a 92. So I have a number of these old dusty wild turkeys that I got this one, and then I was like, I got to get more. Like I got to find more, like because they're not out there anymore. It's a tough one to track down.
Do you still get the like? And folks in the chat who are wild turkey fans, let me know if you agree with or disagree with me. But like, in general, I get like wild turkey is a very high corn whiskey, and I like a lot of wild turkey. I'm not as huge a fan of the Russells, which is brilliant. But do you get that kind of State Fair caramel corn marshmallow note off the older Wild Turkey 101 like you do off it's like confectionery like you do off the newer bottles? Like it's got that kind of like, so you're saying this is more like oaky barrel.
This is more like the first thing I think of when I drink it.
Sorry.
The first thing I think of when I sip it is it's like brown sugar. Like it's got a sweetness, but it's like a bold sweetness. You know what I mean? Like
more like Booker's.
No, Booker's is more heat, right? I mean, Booker's is more ethanol.
Out of the Booker's, like if you took the heat, if you put a Booker's down to like 55%, like is it more profile?
Yeah, I would say that. Yep. And quite honestly, man, like I have a hard time with Booker's. I'm not a Jim Beam fan at all, except for the Booker's 30th is fucking amazing. It's a fantastic bottle, but just the regular run-of-the-mill Bookers, I can never do it. They're just so hot to me. They're just like, I drink it, I'm like, maybe it deserves water. Like you need to put some water in those things. And maybe I just haven't done that, but I don't know, man. They just scream like too hot. And there's nothing worse to me than just a bourbon that's too hot and it makes it just unappetizing. Like you just don't want nobody wants to drink that.
I agree on that. And like what's really, you hit the nail on the head in a certain way. I see Richie Z is in the house. What up, Richie? Happy or what is it? It's not Sunday, Monday. It's Friday, whatever.
Friday Rye Day.
It's Friday Rye Day. Yeah, I should probably pour some rye. Good to see you, Richie. Thanks for swinging by. We got 12 folks in the chat, which is awesome, man. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. So to your point, Booker's is interesting because I remember explicitly early in my bourbon journey, well, maybe not early, like medium in my bourbon journey, before I was like more of a Scotch guy. I was in Nashville and I went to a bar and they had a Booker's, a bottle behind the bar. And sometimes that happens, apparently. It should happen everywhere. And I know Booker's are like 6 years old, 6.5 years old at the most. I remember drinking it and it was like a euphoric moment. Like, and this is like, medium term, not necessarily like I hadn't been into a lot of cask strength bourbon. And I remember just being blown away. I was like, holy shit. Like I didn't think bourbon could be as interesting as that Booker's was. And
it depends on what batch it was too, I
mean, totally. And after that, I remember I bought a bottle of Booker's. It's 2018-01. It was called Kathleen's batch. I thought it was really, really tasty. But after a while, especially when I started having like some of the more aged barrel proof Four Roses and the Knob Creeks, you know, the more aged store pick and the Elijah Craig barrel proofs, I was like less interested in Booker's. And I can tell you right now, I haven't had a taste of a Booker's in 2 years.
Yeah.
And like, I don't, part of it is that it's the cost has went up precipitously. Like,
it's not an $85 bottle.
No, I mean, dude, if you go on Reddit and like look at people's Booker's reviews from like 5 years ago, they were like 55 a bottle. Now it's in the 85, even $100 a bottle. And like, I won't pay that for a bourbon, let alone a Booker's.
You know, I bet, yeah, I haven't had the luxury of doing this, but if you had the ability to taste like one of the first or second or third releases of Booker's, which I think it dates back to the 80s, if I'm thinking about this right, I want to say that the Booker's started back in the 80s, and I bet you those are probably a million times better than what they are now. I just feel like there was in general with most bourbons, the dusty stuff is always tended to be so much better than what they're producing today.
Like before the 80s, and like the 80s, I mean, and especially for Scotch, the 80s was horrible because it was all about like mass produced labels and all of that. Like whiskey quality moves with culture in a lot of ways.
Right.
And I think that like in a lot of respects, you can't, like the bourbons that are coming out now in many ways are better than like any bourbon you've had in 30 years. But back in the day when bourbon wasn't the fad, I mean, we're in a bourbon craze still here in the US, going on what, 8 years, 9 years.
Yeah.
You know, you probably, some of those bottles that you have are like really right in that wheelhouse of like, they released quality stuff, but it wasn't as if there was so much hype for it back then, you know?
Oh no. I mean, it wasn't like, again, it wasn't a popular spirit by any means. So they produced far less of it. And obviously, you know, with that comes more, I don't want to say care, because I think that these folks still care about what they're producing, but there's a certain more like focus and attention to detail when they're smaller volume. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to go one step further, it's markets. Like they don't need, the demand is lower. I mean, this goes back to Ricardo, right? Like, I mean, the demand is lower, therefore, like they can put out the better stuff, and it is what it is.
I mean, I even, it's the same situation with Blanton's too. Like I have a number of Blanton's from the 90s, like early 90s, and you know, I think the oldest Blantons I've seen was from like I always try to get an 85 because that's the year I was born. So I'm always trying to find an 85, and they're really difficult to find, dating back that long ago. But even if you drank any of those, you know, quote unquote dusty Blantons, it's completely different than what Blanton's is today. Yeah, completely. The profile is completely different.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. And like, I think it's a response to market forces in a lot of ways. Ben Demon Hunter's in the house. Let me catch up on the chat. Saying hi to Evan and me. What up, Ben? How are things in Canada, man? Thanks for swinging by on the Friday, man. Good to see you. Cheers to you too, Richie. Good to see you, man. Hey, Trooper's in the house. What's up, Trooper? I wouldn't say gentleman. I mean, at least not for that wanker. Good to see you, Trooper. Glad you can swing by. Yeah, we got a lively chat. We got 13 folks in the house, man. How's everybody doing? Happy Friday. This is a little impromptu thing, but glad to hang out a little bit. I got my younger brother. For those who are just joining, Evan is my younger brother. He's quite a bourbon head, but he's sipping some scotch tonight, and we're talking bourbon. We're talking scotch. We're just shooting the shit.
Hanging out with babies.
Yeah, talking baby. This is my niece Juniper. She's a sweetie pea. Sucking on a bottle. We're not going to talk about what's in it, but
You got to get him to sleep somehow.
glad everybody can join us, man. I hope everybody's staying well and healthy on this Friday. You're still doing that art bag?
No, I just I'm finishing my my wild turkey, but I'm debating what I'm going to go for next year.
I know that we got a lot of Scotch heads here. You know, I'm more of a Scotch head than anything, but I'd love to hear. Like, my brother has been dipping his toe in the Scotch waters for about a year now. What Scotches would you recommend for a bourbon head that would be like the ones that really, you know, break the door open, make you think, yeah, I gotta start testing out more Scotch? Drop them in the chat. I'll post them up here on the video, because I bet you there are a few that come to mind to many folks in this in the chat tonight. So I see Andrew Page too. What's up, New Jersey? How are you, man? Thanks for swinging by. Yeah, definitely let us know in the chat if you got any ideas of you got a head fan in
like Scotch, man. It's not that I don't like it.
I know, but I'm thinking about the ones that are going to be the ones that are like that really seal the deal, kind of bridge the gap. Troopers is Glenfiddich 14. Are you talking about the Solera bourbon? I thought, yeah, that might be a good one. Peter White has a question for us. He says, question for you guys. I was offered an Old Elk Rye single barrel. Peter White's pick. It was a pick 5-year for one of my many extra Alberta Premium cast strength releases. Is that a buy?
If you have the ability to sample it first, I would try to do that. But you know what? I was just talking about Old Elk with a couple friends, and I've tried one of their single barrel 5-year rye picks, and it was really, really good. But you know what? They just do a phenomenal job. I mean, it's Metzke. I mean, he's the old MGP master distiller. I mean, the guy is. I mean, he was the master distiller at fucking MGP. So it's like, yeah, of course he knows what he's doing, and he's going to put out some good stuff. I have yet to have an Old Elk barrel pick that I didn't like. I didn't absolutely love, and I mean, I think that they're doing awesome things there. I would say, depending on what the price point is on that rye pick, I mean, it's probably a buy. I mean, I'm speaking from, I've yet to have something I didn't like from them.
There you go, Peter White.
I haven't had their run of the mill stuff, like just like their you know mass produced shelfer stuff. Like, I've only had picks.
Yeah, he said he's assuming it's MGP. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, Old Elk, and they're putting out some really good stuff.
Good deal. Can I hand the chat to you for a few minutes? I got to grab some water.
Sure.
All right, I'll be right back. I'm going to hand you over to my younger brother here, folks.
All right. Well, so my brother is always trying to get me into to Scotch, and he's sent me a bunch of samples and recommendations, and I'm honestly, I was never really into it. I was always really into bourbon, and it just got out of control with collecting bourbon. So I have far more than I ever will drink in a lifetime. But you know, it's interesting when I talk to Eric about Scotch and his comparison to bourbon, and you know, he thinks that bourbon is one dimensional and it's relatively boring, and Scotch offers so much more different profiles and whatnot. And like, I guess I have yet to experience that part of it. You know, it's I'm always interested in recommendations on stuff. So again, if you guys have you know, if some of you are bourbon drinkers and you know what's kind of like easily you know, what's an easy transition from a bourbon drinker to a Scotch drinker? That's always appreciated. I don't know if I can see the chat on here, or maybe I can. Just picked up the Knob Creek 12 and it was really nice. Okay. Rise. Monkey Shoulders. See, yeah, I've heard a lot about that Monkey Shoulder. It is a great starter Scotch. Yeah. People are, that's the cutest baby. Thanks. Yeah. This is actually, so this was our COVID baby. So we had her in May. And so, yeah, no, you know what though? So this is my third kid. We have three. My oldest being 5, and then I have a boy that's almost 4, and now Juniper here. But I'll tell you what, the greatest thing, the silver lining for COVID for us is that I spent maybe 2 weeks at home with my first 2 kids before going back into the office and working. And I've literally spent 5 straight months with this girl, and I wish I had that opportunity with my other kids. But that's been the silver lining, is that, you know, I've gotten so much quality time with her, so it's great. I'm teaching her all about whiskey. So
the results of that are TBD, but yeah.
Yeah, right. I'm only able to say that because my wife's not home to hear me.
Beth Higgins is in the house. What's up, Beth? Nice to see you.
These are some great comments going on here. I like this.
Oh yeah, man.
Eric, is this saved somewhere so I can come back to it?
Yeah, definitely, man. You should be able to see it. You can also open up a YouTube channel in your browser to watch. Turn the volume.
I can see the comments, but I just want to be able to refer back to it.
Draminator said, Eric, are you a peat head, sherry, or bourbon guy, or simply enjoy it all? I do enjoy it all. But I'm more of a Scotch guy than a bourbon guy, and I'm probably more of a peat than a sherry guy, but not by much. I mean, my favorite Scotch of all time is that I've had is the Bruichladdich Black Art 4.1, which I think is not peated at all. But then,
dude, that Black Art you shared with me was incredible.
Yeah, I did send a sample to my younger brother about
hey,
the
so Eric, maybe you can direct me here, but I have a bunch of these samples that you've sent me over time that I haven't gotten around to.
Let's do it. Hell yeah.
So I have a Glenfiddich Project XX.
Yeah, the Project XX. That's a good one. What else you got?
There's a Macallan Edition 5. What else here? I think those are the only ones that I guess I drank the other ones. Well, those are 2.
Yeah, do the Macallan.
Macallan Edition 5. All right.
Yeah, wait, what was the first one?
Glenfiddich Project XX.
Yeah, do the Macallan. Wait, what did you just drink? I'm sorry. Actually, that's a better question.
I just drink bourbon, so.
Yeah.
I was gonna stick with bourbon, but
do that Macallan. Tell us what you think about the Macallan Edition 5. That's not my favorite of the edition series, but it is good.
Have you ever landed that edition 1 that you've been looking for forever?
No, I never. I mean, it's like $2,000 in secondary market. I won't even bother.
Not worth it, huh?
No, absolutely not. I've had the edition 2, 3, 4, and 5. I think the 4 is the best, followed by the 2, then the 5, then the 3. 3 is the worst by far. But the 6 just came out, and it's the last one. I haven't had it yet. But...
All right.
Trooper. Yeah. Totally trooper. Yeah, try that Macallan Edition 5. Tell us what you think about the nose on that. And I mean,
Whoa.
grains.
The nose is super. Woo. Like I'm getting like it's like really
Macallan,
fruity.
Yeah, Macallan's heavy cherry.
Yeah, it's like plum, like a dark fruits. Like wow,
Oh, yeah.
that is really that's something else. I did not expect that on the nose at all.
You should.
What do you think, Juniper?
I think Juniper gave the best reaction to most Scotch whiskey people's opinions of the game that I've ever heard.
You don't like that, dude?
Get this out of here.
Yeah, she's like, give me that breast milk. I want that.
Yeah, let me
aged breast milk.
Yeah, let me give you the tail of the tape on the Macallan Edition 5. So that one it's all sherry. It's sherry seasoned American oak. It is 48.5%. It's an NAS. But yeah, I don't know. It was engineered. I mean, it's a very engineered whiskey, but don't let
So
that.
Is it a blend then? Is that what that means?
No,
like,
no,
is it a
malt? It's a single malt.
Is it really? Okay.
Yes.
I mean, how many iterations of Macallan is out there?
5 million?
God.
Yeah, give or take.
What'd you say? 5 million?
Daniel just laughed. I agree with you. He loves the Mac 5 though, right?
All right, I'm gonna give it a whirl here.
That's what she's reaching for the glass. Yeah, man. That's a good.
Oh man. Yeah, that is holy shit. Dude, that is freaking amazing. I need a bottle of that. That is like unlike any Scotch I've tasted.
And everybody in the chat says, "Welcome to Scotch."
I mean, seriously, holy cow. Like that is I don't even know how to describe that. It's like
dark fruit.
Dark fruit, like crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you took a bottle of jam that like a bottle of jam that you just finished and you just poured water in it and like swirled it around and like drank it. Like, I mean, that's wow, that is spectacular. I'm really blown away right now. This is good.
There you go.
I mean, are all Macallans like this?
No, but I think the bigger point is welcome to single malt Scotch. This is why probably some of the people in the chat will be like, yeah, single malt Scotch.
You know, so I was explaining more about.
Daniel says, "Welcome to Scotch. You warmed up with bourbon and moved on to amazing." Bourbon is for warming up. Yeah, real talk.
No, dude. So I was just talking about that before. And
exactly.
I was talking about that before about how like you always tell me that there's so much more that Scotch offers, and I just kind of learned that right now. I mean, damn, that's something else, dude.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, this is what I mean. Like the diversity, and I think, and you know, correct me in the chat if you think I'm wrong on this, folks. But like, I am not a bourbon hater by any stretch. I love bourbon. I mean, one of every 4 reviews I do is bourbon. But barley, other than corn, just in the flavors of other casks in a way that I think is just special, and that is definitely why I gravitate towards the single malt Scotch over bourbon. I saw Andrew Page just said, "Just watch your Glengoyne 10 review. It made me think of Glengoyne 15, which I liked a lot better and haven't had in a while." So I don't know if it's discontinued. I've heard it is, but then I've heard it's not. I know it's really hard to get. The Glengoyne 15 was the diamond in the rough of that range, in my opinion, because the 10, as you saw in probably in my review, and if folks haven't checked it out, you know, definitely do so. Glengoyne suffers from like what I think is like kind of a thin mouthfeel. Even their 21-year-old, which is upwards of $170, $180, is a like 43% ABV. I do have a bottle of the 25, which I'm going to open up relatively soon, which is 48%. But yeah, like Glengoyne is all about the sherry. It's all about that fruit note. But the big issue is it's just kind of thin, you know? The 10 was interesting in that like the youthfulness was so bold and it like punched, but then the finish was just so short. So yeah, I don't know, man. I thought the 15 was the best Glengoyne I've had. And just for the record, I've had the 10, I've had the 12, I've had the 15 and the 18. I think the 15 is light years better than the 18. I think the only Glengoynes that I've had that are better is the Teapot Dram, which is a distillery release and really hard to get. You got to buy it internationally. That's another level. But yeah, if you see the 15 Glengoyne, like that's the Glengoyne to buy of their core range, in my opinion, other than the 25, but that's, you know, upwards of $300 some. Yeah, right. Hey, I mean, if it's Macallan 4 T or Macallan Edition 5, you know, whatever it is, everybody has their moments. You know, we've all had our moments. Oban 14 was one of my moments. You know, you look back and you're like, oh, that's when I realized. It's different for everybody. And that's what makes it fun. Maybe the Macallan Edition 5 is the one that does it for him. Your brother is after the liquor store.
Hey, Mom just got home, so Juniper's really excited. So I'm gonna step away for a minute, but
yeah.
I'll be back.
Oh, duty calls, right? Yeah. If he's smart, he will be, right. He's got an incredible bourbon collection. Like, I remember a couple of years ago, we would chat, and he would say things like, "What do you mean?" Like he was drinking Buffalo Trace, and I was like, "Oh, you know, it's all right." And he was like, "What do you mean? Like, this is great. I got 3 ice cubes on it. It's delicious." And I'm like, "You'll eventually get to the." I mean, it's the same thing we all went through to some degree. I'm like, "You'll eventually like start sipping it neat," and then he started sipping neat. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, now he won't put ice in anything." You know, I mean, it's just how it goes. It's not like a big brother, small brother thing. It's more of a just, you have people who guide you on your journey while you're enjoying good spirits. It's as simple as that. I mean, I didn't, you know, personally, I put ice on everything. It was just par for the course. But after a while, you develop the palate, you start enjoying things neat, you pick up more notes, and you're on your way. So yeah, I mean, he's got better bourbon than I do, no doubt about it. But, you know, there's nothing better than a single malt. We got 12 folks on, so let me catch up. Yeah, no doubt. And that's what I'm saying. Like, he's got incredible bourbons. Better bourbons than I do, no doubt. And I'm not, you know, as I've said a million times, I mean, if you look back at the reviews that I put up, I'm no hater on bourbon. Like, I do a lot of bourbon reviews. I think bourbon's great, but it's not single malt Scotch, in my opinion. Single malt Scotch is a different level. Most Glengoynes are understated. Yeah, Richie, I agree with you, and I wish it was better. I don't know. The 10 comes in really bold, but I don't know if you saw my review. Like, the finish is just so short. I was kind of just like, eh. The 15, I think, is the sweet spot. The 18 was underwhelming. I have not had the 21, but I do have the 25, which of course is 48%. So, I mean, that's, you know, we can't even judge it in the same league as their core range, considering what you get out of them. So yeah, that's about where I land on it. I mean, and the Teapot Dram is next level. It is what it is. Some folks probably got some different opinions about Glengoyne, but yeah, I mean, I'm okay with Glengoyne. Daniel said, hey, malt user, does the vape ever affect the flavor in whiskey for you? I've always been curious. I don't know. I mean, I was a cigarette smoker for many years. I quit just over a year ago, July of last year. I'm on the lowest nicotine level that vape can have. It's pretty much sweet standard tobacco. It probably does have some effect. I mean, I couldn't say it doesn't, but I don't know. It's probably minimal. I mean, I'm no Scotch expert, but I think my palate is solid intermediate range. I can pick stuff up. And so I don't think it's affecting it too much, but that's a good question. When I was a smoker, I think it probably affected it much more because you get much more of an ashiness. This is pretty clean comparatively. Yeah. 12 is solid for sure. Jeremy Andrews said, my Scotch journey started many moons ago. Johnny Walker Black, yeah, those are exactly. I mean, especially Draminator when you talk about the Johnny Walker Black. If Johnny Walker Black was a whiskey that a lot of people had early, I tend to think it's unforgettable because it's the first time you have something smoky, And I still think Johnny Walker Black is fine, It's probably not what it was in 1975, but yeah, man, nothing wrong with a little Johnny Walker. And yeah, I mean, you learn a lot about your palate with things like Glenlivet 12, with Glenfiddich 12. I mean, those are the things that teach you about kind of how to taste things, I think. So it's all good. Yeah. My first single malt Scotch, the euphoric moment for single malt Scotch for me was Oban 14, and it was totally random. My second euphoric moment with Scotch was Ardbeg Uigeadail, which was on New Year's Eve, 2017. And I've had a couple since then. Brooklotti Black Art, Ballblair 25, Lafroig 18. You have a couple of those moments. And that's what makes the journey so fun, I think. So yeah, I totally hear you on that, man.
Hola.
Hey, he's back. Daniel just said Buffalo Trace Elijah Craig and Wild Turkey Rare Breed on ice was my favorite. Well, it's my entry into it all. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, everybody switches with ice. And I was just telling them, Evan, we all did the same thing, we kind of started with whiskey on ice and we developed a palate and then you go neat and then boom. Then it happens.
Yeah.
Are you still sitting on the calendar?
Yeah. I just, dude, this is really, really good. I'm seriously I did not expect it to be this good. Yeah, this could be one of the better scotches that you've ever given me before. So.
There you go. Yeah, you should do the Glenlivet after that, man. I'll be interested. The Glenlivet, I think, is more in the bourbon palate range, and it's an interesting one. I'll tell you about it once you pour it. I'll give you a little bit of background on it. In the meantime, I'm continuing my peated whiskey. I'm continuing to drink peated whiskey, and what I got tonight after this Lecheg, I'm going to do some Aaron. This is the quarter cask of the Bothy. This is 56.2%, so it's hefty. I got this from the UK. This is an interesting heavily peated dram because it's very tropical and sweet. So a little bit of a departure from the Lecheg. Much more tropical fruit, but I got to get in on it because it's amazing.
I've never heard of it before.
The new Aaron, this is the new Aaron labeling. They even put Braille on it, which I think is super cool. Aaron,
wow, that is cool.
Yeah, they relabeled all of their stuff. Their bottle looks different. Their labeling looks different. Aaron is an interesting distillery because they're they're not one of the big names in Scotch, but they put out a whole bunch of really interesting releases. And I'll tell you, this quarter cask, the Bothy, especially if you're a fan of, any quarter cask peated whiskeys, this is heavily peated. It's fantastic, but much more tropical, much sweeter in that fruity sense than like some of the other like heavily peated whiskeys, like like a Lafroig quarter cask. It doesn't have as much of that medicinal iodine stuff. It's much more like sweet fruit, but quite good. Yeah, I had to get this from the UK, and I'm glad I did. It's really, really enjoyable. Let me catch up on the chat. Young cast strength bourbon and rye with small ice cube. Got me. Yeah, totally. I hear you on that, Jack. Yeah, man. Totally Dreminator. Yeah, like I'm never gonna turn my I'm not pretentious, man. I'm not I'm not gonna turn my nose up at Johnny Walker Black. It's Johnny Walker Black is like the blended version of Highland Park 12 in that it's got a little bit of everything. It's going to give you just a little bit of everything you want. Maybe you're not sure what you want to drink. Maybe you want something heavily peated. Maybe you don't want peat at all. Like that one is going to like get you thinking about what you're in the mood to drink. And it's cheap. And it's 12 years. I'm fine with that, man. Johnny Walker Black, it's no slouch. I'm totally game on it. Yeah, I agree with you. I really like their new look. I mean, and this is a surprise considering some of the distilleries that I really love, like Bob Blair, who have like changed their labeling so significantly. Ben Romick, like I'm not sure I'm on board quite yet with the way they've done it, but I think Aaron's stuff is the way they've done it is really great. Daniel said going to pour some Mac 5. I haven't had it in a while. There you go. Yeah. I mean, it's blowing my brother's mind. So definitely do it, man. I don't have any Mac 5, unfortunately, but it's fun to watch him experience it the way he is for the first time. So that's a lot of fun. Enjoy that, man. Yeah. Agreed, Jammer. Yeah, totally, man. I'm totally with you on that. Had a few of the years. Oh, yeah. So Pastor, just luscious and high proof. Totally.
I'm really sad that the sample of those Gallon Edition 5 is gone now.
I mean, like, yeah. What are you getting at it now? You've had a couple sips. Has it got any more interesting? Any different?
I would say that the difference now, after it's been sitting there for a little bit, is, oh man, oh my gosh, like it's just. Yeah, the finish on it is just so much different. Like it's I don't know how to describe it, but it's like when I first drank it, it was like super jammy. Like it was just fruit city, right? Like just dark fruits, dark cherry. I get like plum almost.
Oh yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah, and now I think it's more. As it's oxidized a little bit, it's not as intense of the fruit flavor, but it's still obviously prevalent, but it's more of a delayed thing. Like I took that sip and then like 30 seconds later, I'm like, oh my God, like that was so good. I don't know. It's just, that's a really good pour. I like that a lot.
Right on, man. I'm really glad you're enjoying it. That's I would love to pour you some of the Macallan Edition 4 at some point in time because I think that one's even more in your wheelhouse. And that was my favorite of the editions that I've had. I have not had the Edition 1, but
I'm happy to trade samples, Eric. You know that.
For sure. I'm glad you're enjoying it, man. Let me just catch up on the chat right quick.
Yep.
Evan have the new Wild Turkey Masters Keep bottled in bond, says Richie Z.
Oh yeah.
You do?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I have 2 of them. Yeah. It's so much better. So the first release of the 17-year Masters Keep was, I think it was proof down to like 90 or something like that. And it's one of those, it's so weird, like with bourbon, how they tend to proof down the age stuff. Like, I don't understand it. Doesn't make any sense. And like the first release of the Master's Keep 17 was proof to 90, or I think it was 90. And it just leaves you wanting something, right? You drink it and you're like, yeah, that's good, but it's like not great. Like it's just lacking something, right? So now, fast forward to 2020, they release the new 17-year Master's Keep, but it's it's bottled in bond now. So now it's 100 proof. So you get that 10 extra proof on it, and it's completely different. It's such a great pour. I mean, like that's what you wanted out of that first release, right? Exactly what you wanted. You wanted that. Juniper, she's going nuts over there. But it was like when I drank it, I was like, that's what I wanted out of the first one. Like that is exactly what I wanted out of that. And so, yeah, I got 2 of them now because I'm like, yeah, it's a great pour. Great pour. It's such a, it really, yeah, bring her over. Oh, hold on a second. I got to grab baby.
Sure. My brother's got to grab the young one.
But no, so I like it really is a great example of like how good Wild Turkey can make a bourbon, right? I mean, it's just, I think that's what everybody wants out of an aged, 17 years, right? Like what you want out of that is a really, really strong, not. I think everybody's just so used to like the Elijah Craig 18, Elijah Craig 23, or like even Pappy 23. It's all this proof down stuff that's just like, it just lacks that really, really nice, bold profile. And I think that they knocked it out of the park with that. I love it. I mean, I think it's fantastic for her.
That's a ringing endorsement, Richie Z.
Yeah, it is. It is. Sorry, I'm like distracted here with like.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Daniel says you should have Evan on more often. He's a good dude. Seems to be having fun. Yeah, definitely, man. He's my younger brother, man. So as much as I can, I'll definitely bring him on. He's probably more of a bourbon aficionado than I am, and also is interested in Scotch. So we're having a lot of fun, tasting whiskeys on our journeys. And yeah, as much as I can, I will, man. Daniel, appreciate that, and thanks for all your support on Patreon, by the way.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
I should drop that in the chat. If anybody's interested in supporting my channel, no matter what you can kick in, it always helps. Helps me get some good whiskeys. We get to try them, taste them. Just drop my Patreon link in the chat. So thanks for that, you guys. Hey, my good buddy from North Carolina, the Bourbon Bounty. What's up, man? Nice to see you. Glad you could swing by. Bourbon Bounty and I did a live stream a couple weeks ago where we tasted some Elijah Craig. I'm on with my younger brother, Bourbon, who is even more of a bourbon head than I am, and definitely has some, very well versed on it. So awesome to see you, man. Thanks for swinging by.
One in there.
He says McAllen, for the most part, have a good Monica. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not a McAllen hater. I just don't gravitate towards it. I agree with you on that.
Hey, Eric, I gotta bounce off here, bud. But thanks for including me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll have to do it again.
Great to have you.
You have to send more of that McAllen edition 5 or 4 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Hey, say bye.
This is the Juniper.
There's Uncle Eric. Say bye, Uncle Eric. Say bye-bye. Okay.
Bye.
All right, bro. Hey, guys, have a great night.
Take care. Yeah. See you.
Bye.
All right. Let me catch up a little bit here on what's going on in the chat. So I hope you guys all enjoyed that. Yeah, I would love to bring my brother on as often as I can. Talking to Trooper. Oh, you're moving to Miami. Look at you, man. Okay. That sounds like fun. I should tell everybody now that tomorrow night, for folks who are around or checking their app, there's a good chance I'm going to be going live with the one and only Food Quig. Quig and I will probably be, I don't know, maybe around like 8 or 9 Eastern time. Might go live. You know, we try to do it a couple times a year. We're both, he's a good friend of mine. And we'll probably try to do a live stream tomorrow night. So keep in tune for that. But let me catch up on what's going on with everybody. Not certain, but probably. Oh, you're about moving to Miami. Okay. Folks saying goodnight to Evan. Yeah. Cheers, man. Thanks for giving the ups to my brother, man. Appreciate you guys all hanging out. And he, he's a big bourbon head. It was fun to watch him drink that Macallan tonight. Yeah, for sure, Daniel. Appreciate that, man. Cheers. Yeah, love them. So I've moved on, as I mentioned, and this is one that I'm not sure how available yet it is in the States. But this is the Aaron Quarter Cask the Bothy. It's an NAS, but it's 56.2%. So it's coming in hot, non-chill filtered, natural color. This is that new labeling that Aaron has. And I'm quite enjoying it. It's pretty heavily peated, but not as smoky as a lot of the peated whiskeys that, you know, you tend to come by, especially when I compare it to things like the Lefroy Quarter Cask or something like that, for example. This one's really good. I'd be curious if anybody's had it. Let me see what else is going on. Andrew Page says, Mollister, what are you trying with Telex next Tuesday? Sorry, forgot to write it down. Would you like to get something someday to taste along? Yeah, so next week, you know what? Let me look it up. Telex and I next week, we got we have a pretty good schedule lined up. I can tell you guys what Telex and I will be doing, and this will be next Tuesday. So I'll have my happy hour from 8 to 9 on Tuesday, Eastern time. And then Telex and I will do our Telex and Malt Whiskey show from 9 until 11 p.m. Let me just look. So next week we're doing Tamdu. So we'll be doing the Tamdu 10 and then in the second hour, the Tamdu 15. After that, which will be on October... Yeah, the last week of October, we're going to do the Enoch 12 and the Enoch 18. So we're, after 2 weeks of doing bourbon and some world whiskeys and some Texas whiskeys, we're going to get back into doing single malt scotches, which is definitely Telex's wheelhouse and mine as well for the most part. So, yeah, next week we'll be doing some Tamdus. Hope you can join us, man. Let me catch up here. Did anyone else themselves ready for good Scotch knowledge after it started? Oh, thanks, Daniel. Yeah, I mean, I claim to be just kind of a regular dude who's enjoying the stuff, and I try to present things in a way that will, I take cost into consideration because I feel like, for most of us working folks, cost is important, and what I'm, bang for your buck is should be part of a review. So I like to include that. But yeah, if it helps anybody think about scotches more, man, that's all the better, man. So appreciate that, Daniel. Yeah, definitely. I'll keep you guys posted. I mean, I'll try to do a post on the channel to let you know. I don't know if we're going to be on Quig's channel or my channel, but he did say that he was interested, and it has been honestly a couple months since Quig and I went live. And Quig and I usually do like 2 or 3 live streams a year, if not more. So we'll definitely make sure to let you guys know because it's always a lot of fun. Cool. Andrew, Richie Z said, These distilleries like Aaron from the islands that are unique. Yeah, I totally agree with you. This one, man, like I wasn't that blown away by the Macklemore. It was supposed to be like they're heavily peated, and I think when I tried it, I mean, I was expecting something smoky, something like really intense, and it had a bit of the peat, but I don't know, it didn't quite do it. This Bothy, on the other hand, I think is a lot better. I wish this would come to the States. I had to buy this online, so this is a UK release, so it's only the 700 mil, but really good. I think they're doing great stuff. I mean, I would recommend people check out Aaron releases for sure, because I think that they're really nailing it. Trooper said, I've got the Bothy bottling, mom users reviews, and it's yeah, totally right. Do you get a lot of the tropical fruit on it? Because I'm getting a lot of tropical fruit on this. More than I would expect from an NAS. I mean, usually like I notice more tropical fruits on older whiskeys, but man, I'm getting a lot on this. Andy's a good one. Yeah, for sure, Richie. You know. I hope you can swing by tomorrow night. I don't know what time we'll be on, but we're definitely working on making a live stream happen. Trooper said there's no bad bottling of quarter cask from Aaron, the Bothy, and the Brodiga. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, I'm impressed by this. This is a really good one. Oh man. Well, thanks, Daniel. Cheers. Yeah. Yeah, our show's been evolving. We're continually trying to get better, and yeah, man, totally appreciate your support. Telex and I, we met long before we were doing live shows. We were chatting online back when I lived in Washington, D.C. a couple of years ago. And we never got to meet up, which was weird because he lives right outside the D.C. region. But we never got to meet up, but he and I stayed in touch, and, I'm really, really enjoying that live stream show I'm doing with him. So I'm glad you do too, man. Cheers. Yeah, Aaron's not easy to find. I agree with you on that. It's not easy to find at all. It's like I said, I had to get this from the UK, the Bothy, and like some of them you can find in the States, but like it's the crapshoot, man. I mean, like you really just have to like go to one of those whiskey shops that gets rare stuff. Or I mean, not even rare, right? I shouldn't even say it's rare because it's not rare. It's more as if one of those shops that gets stuff from a variety of places. And like I think we all probably have a shop or two in mind when we think about that. It's just hard. Aaron's not a distillery that, for the most part, you can find find stuff from on an American shelf. It sucks, but it's true. Mostly sucks because it's really good. Like I think they're doing really good stuff. It's worth checking out. Anyone had the Aaron 10? The only Aaron I see on the shelves around here. Yeah, I have not. And that's what, Andrew Page is hitting the nail on the head there. Like, you just don't see a lot of Aaron releases in the States. Especially their more interesting releases. For example, this quarter cask, which is called the Bothy, although it's more called quarter cask, it looks like. It used to be called the Bothy more prominently, but as you can see on here, like they're much more interested in telling you that it's quarter cask than it's called the Bothy. The Bothy is written way down in here. So I don't know. I definitely recommend it though. If this comes across your, any shop that you're in, this is definitely worth grabbing. Yeah, God, now that I look at it, let me look at the tube. So if you look at the tube, it says the Bothy right there. It doesn't even say it on the bottle. It's like as if they're phasing that out. Like they just want to call it quarter cask at this point. Which I mean, maybe from a marketing perspective makes sense, but I do like their presentation, which they've changed up, I think about a year ago. So yeah, that's all I know, unfortunately. You being in Philly, don't forget to close them. I'm in West Philly too, so even more so maybe. Cheers, Draminator. It was great to meet you tonight. Thanks for swinging by. That's a good comment. All right, you guys. It's getting to be about that time, so I'm gonna wind this down. We're about an hour and a half. I do appreciate everybody for swinging by for a little impromptu Friday. This isn't something I do very often, so appreciate you guys all jumping in the chat, and hope you enjoyed it. If you've yet to, hit subscribe, hit like on the video, and there's a very good chance that you'll catch me either on my channel or on Food Quick's channel tomorrow to do a longer live stream. So hope to see you guys all over there tomorrow. And if for some reason that doesn't happen, Tuesday night, 8:00 p.m. Eastern time, I will be rolling out my weekly happy hours I always do, where I'm going to taste and uncork Glenmorangie, the Tale of Cake. So I'll be sharing that. So hope to see you on Tuesday, and if we're on tomorrow, hope to see you then. And until then, everybody stay safe, be well, wear a mask. Much love to everybody. Cilantro.